Autumn of 1862, General Braxton Bragg and his Confederate Army of the Mississippi boldly invaded Kentucky with the hopes of bringing the bluegrass state into the Confederacy and filling his depleted ranks with Kentuckians. After being met with a resounding lack of support, however, Bragg was compelled to halt and regroup. On October 7, 1862, the 55,000-man Union Army of the Ohio under the command of General Don Carlos Buell converged on a small crossroad town of Perryville, Kentucky, and he advanced in 3 columns. Union forces first skirmished with the rebel cavalry on the Springfield Pike before fighting became more general. On Peters Hill, as the gray-clad infantry arrived, the next day at dawn, fighting began again around Peters Hill as a Union division advanced up the pike, halting just before the Confederate line, then stopping just for time. Sometime after noon, a Confederate division struck a Union left flank and forced it to fall back. When more Confederate divisions joined the fray, the Union line made a stubborn stand, counterattacked, but finally fell back with some troops and routed. Buell was unaware of what was happening on the field. Even so, the Union troops on the left flank was reinforced by 2 brigades, stabilized their line, and a rebel attack spurred to halt. Later, a Confederate brigade assaulted a Union division on the Springfield Pike, but was repulsed and fell back into Perryville. The Yankees pursued, and a skirmishing occurred in the streets in the evening before dark. Union reinforcements was threatening the rebel left flank, but now Bragg, short of men and supplies, withdrew during the night, and after pausing in Harrodsburg, continued the Confederate retrograde by way of Cumberland Gap into East Tennessee. The Confederate offensive was over, and the Union controlled Kentucky. At the end of that fateful day in Perryville, Kentucky, on October 8, 1862, over 7,000 casualties. Men lay dying, wounded, separated, or just plain missing. The site of the Battle of Perryville is now a state park, with the original battlefield remaining mostly unaltered. However, the battlefield has a creepier side to its bloodiest past. It's rumored to be one of the most haunted places in Kentucky. Paranormal tours are offered at the Perryville battlefield, where people have reported seeing full-body apparitions, hearing the sounds of marching when no one else is around, and disembodied voices. With the Confederates being worn, torn, and tattered, most of them just left their dead and their dying on the field. Joseph Goodnight, a farmer in the area, helped bury these men. Over 500 are reported to be buried here in this cemetery. Unmarked graves. No names. Maybe that's why they wander aimlessly and are unable to rest. Now, there's 2 houses on the property. Both are reported to have severe paranormal activity. The Bottom house was owned by Henry P. Bottom, and much of the conflict took place directly on his property. After the fighting ceased, Bottom and his slaves buried the bodies that were strewn about his land in the months following the battle. His house was used as a hospital for most of the wounded soldiers. A farming family lived in the Dye house seen here when the battle broke out, and it eventually became the headquarters of Confederate General Simon Bouvier Buckner. Like the Bottom house, the Dye house was later used as a hospital. It's said that there are still blood stains on the floorboards upstairs, and sometimes you can hear ghostly moans and screams late at night. Well, thanks for hanging out at the 33 Kings studio with your host, Uncle Jay. Now, I've had my own brush with the paranormal, and, well, I'm still not convinced of what it is. I don't know if it's ghosts. I don't know if it's spirits or some other type of being. I don't know what they are. But I would think of any place in the world, if it's going to have paranormal activity, I would think it would be in a battlefield. because of the horrific nature of it. Anyway, if you like what Uncle Jay's doing, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell. And there's no obligation to you, but it does really help us out. Thanks. Let that American flag wave at the end.